Hello and welcome back to Treehouse. Happy Friday Junior to you all. For those who are just tuning in for the first time to the live videos we've been doing, my name is Shannon. I'm the Volunteer and Community Engagement Coordinator here at Treehouse. And we have been having these weekly live streams for a variety of topics, sometimes just to meet some of our cute kittens that we have in foster care. And then we've also been having some conversations about various aspects of our work here at Treehouse, touring our facility. Today we are going to be discussing our adoption process here, and we refer to it as an open adoption process. So we're going to be talking about what that is, why we choose to approach adoption this way, and what are the benefits that we've seen of this approach. Super excited to have our shelter shift lead, Sonia, joining us today. And Sonia has been with Treehouse for the past 6 years. First, she volunteered for 4 years with Treehouse, and then she became an employee in 2018. So as our shelter shift lead, Sonia leads our team in daily operations, in our adoptions. She works closely with our shelter manager, and she's a great resource to talk about open adoption because she has facilitated and processed many adoptions of Treehouse cats. So I'm going to bring in Sonia.
Hello.
Hey, Sonia. How's it going?
Going pretty good.
Good. Sonia and I are in different parts of the building. I am upstairs. Sonia gets to be down in the cat cafe by a kitty friend, so I'm kind of jealous. Who do you have in there with you?
We have Carter Mom. She's a very cute tortie who is wandering all around. You might see her.
Yeah, and you might hear her too. She's very vocal.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So Sonia, we're going to be talking about open adoption today, as you know, and you still process adoptions of cats all the time, right?
Correct.
Would you say that this is a kind of unique approach for Treehouse compared to like how a lot of shelters process their adoptions?
For sure, definitely. It's much more inclusive, and we definitely rely more on conversations here and just, creating like a safe, non-judgmental space.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So let's just jump right in then. What does it mean to have an open adoption process? What is that?
Yeah, so essentially that means, like I said, you're relying more on conversations versus applications. By doing so, we're definitely removing any barriers to adoption, and we're focusing more on creating that safe, welcoming, and non-judgmental experience for potential adopters.
Great. So walk us through, like, if I came into Treehouse today to adopt a cat, what's the process?
Yeah, so of course we would greet the person nice, warmly at the front desk, and then we would go and show them whatever cats we have for adoption on site. At Treehouse, we definitely focus on making the correct match by working with every adopter individually and just trying to pair them up with a cat that would best suit their lifestyle and their needs. So for example, if a potential adopter comes in and tells us they have young children and a really playful dog at home, we would probably try to match them up with a cat that's more active and outgoing and maybe even, has lived with another cat or another dog before. We don't always know the entire origin story for our cats, but we do try our best to pay close attention to them while they're in our care here or in foster. Just
Right.
really, know what kind of home they need and what home they would ultimately thrive into.
Yeah. So you mentioned something there that we would want to find out more about the type of household this adopter has.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's a big factor is their household, the activity level, whether they have other pets, whether they have small children. What other types of questions do we ask?
For sure, maybe the noise level, maybe what their work schedule is like. Are they home most of the day? Are they gone for a long part of the day? Have they had experience with cats before? Are there any other animals at home? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So then we take all of that information and we kind of have some cats in mind for them.
For sure, yeah. We always, during our downtime here, we're trying to spend time with all the cats, try to figure out, okay, who would work best in this kind of home, who would work best in this kind of home, and we just kind of go from there.
Yeah. And so I give you my information, you introduce me to a couple cats, and then I say, okay, this one, Misty May, sounds like a great fit for me. What happens next?
Yeah, so we would definitely go over first, like any kind of medical records that the cat might have first. Then we would kind of just like talk about, the cat and what is expected, what her care would be like. And then if the adopter chooses to adopt, we would go ahead with the counseling session. So we just go over kind of like the contract and then some other, basic paperwork involved. And then we spend we kind of devote more of the counseling session on like acclimating the cat to the home and just focusing on that more. And then we also just leave it up to the adopter to ask us any questions they have, like about the cat or just cat care in general, anything.
Yeah, I know one of the like terms or phrases that I've heard us talk about a lot is that it's conversation based, yes, but it's also about education.
Yeah.
So can you speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like cats can be kind of misunderstood. Not everyone understands like cat behavior completely, so that definitely gives us a chance to kind of educate people more on cat behavior and what entails having a cat as well.
Yeah, a good example I can think of would be like, if someone comes in and they're interested in adopting a cat, and we talk about what the diet is going to be like for this cat. Someone might say that they're planning on feeding their cat X brand of food, and they're going to give them 3 cups a day, and whatever it might be. And instead of taking a judgmental approach and saying that's completely wrong, I don't know if you can have this cat, we would instead try to share our knowledge on, whether it's cat diet or cat behavior or whatever it might be, that it doesn't exclude someone from adopting just because they don't have that information prior.
Absolutely, definitely. We always want to just strive for education. And we also have like a lot of like documents that we send home with adopters too with that extra information just so they have that on hand.
Yeah, definitely. You also talked about a contract that we go over. So what kind of things do people agree to in that contract?
Yeah, it's basically like 8 basic points, just, agreeing to, of course, give the cat plenty of care. Basically, it just kind of states like they'll be the primary caretaker. We go over like our, just basic policies, stuff like that. It's not very strict. It's just kind of just an overview of what entails adopting a cat from the shelter.
Yeah. And then I know we ask that if for any reason they can no longer take care of the cat, that they bring the cat back to us, right?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, we kind of go by the saying, once a treehouse cat, always a treehouse cat. Sometimes things just happen in life or it just doesn't end up being a good fit. But we definitely don't hold that against any adopter. So they can always bring the cat back to treehouse down the line if they can't like rehome the cat with somebody else.
Yeah. Show us what's going on over there with Cardamom.
She is chasing a ball. I don't know if I go correctly.
Hi, kitty. She's in play mode.
She's busy.
Yeah, maybe she'll come see us later.
Yeah.
I forgot to say earlier, if anyone's watching and you have questions about the things we're talking about, please do send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, cool. So that's kind of like the basic overview is conversation based. The adoption can happen that same day. So this isn't a multi-day application process. It's a conversation, a meeting, and a counseling session that can all happen within, how long would you say it usually takes?
It kind of depends on the cat. Like, of course, a cat who's maybe more shy and needs more TLC, that counseling session might be a little bit longer just because we want to make sure, that cat's going to have kind of like a plan when they go home, just in terms of socialization. But like just for a general, regular, outgoing cat, maybe like 20 minutes or so, 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, pretty speedy. Cool. So we've talked about why we have this process as well. Can you tell us about some of the benefits that we've seen with this approach?
Yeah, for sure. So the main benefit, of course, is that we're being inclusive of all people who are interested in adopting a cat, and we're definitely making sure we're not excluding anyone based on like income or background or even just like housing factors.
Yeah.
And it also keeps us in line with our mission statement as well, which is stating, we empower communities of caregivers to protect, nurture, support new solutions so no cat suffers. And since we moved to this approach, to this open adoption approach, we've noticed there really isn't like a significant difference in the amount of cats being returned versus when we used to use applications. And also that applications don't really dictate a person's ability to care for an animal or not. And also having this process means a shorter length of stay for our cats, which is great. Applications do usually rule out like a really large number of potential adopters, which leads to a longer length of stay for animals.
Right.
And of course, our goal is for every cat to thrive. So having this process ensures we're, maintaining and, meeting that goal at Treehouse.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially in today's day and age, focusing on making sure that your practices and your organization are inclusive is really important. I think this is an approach that we're pretty proud of here at Treehouse, that we don't exclude people based on, like you said, something as small as the structure of their house, or a number, an income level that doesn't dictate how you're going to care for this cat.
No, we definitely want to celebrate like everyone's willingness to adopt a shelter animal.
Yeah, and empower people to adopt. Julie says, so you do same-day adoptions?
Correct. We do same-day adoptions, and we also offer 2-day holds on adult cats as well.
Yeah, so if someone comes in and they definitely want to adopt this cat, but they need a couple days to prepare, we'll do that hold, like Sonia says. There's a small fee for the hold, right?
Yes, it is a $25 hold for 48 hours.
Yeah, and so that kind of goes towards the ongoing housing and care of that cat that we'll be doing for the next 2 days.
Yeah, the fee goes towards just that extra care for those 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Julie, for your question. So some people watching might ask if there are any risks to this approach, just because they're maybe used to that application multi-day process. They might have questions like, how do you know that this is going to be a quote unquote good home for the cat? Or what kind of like questions or concerns like that do you hear? And how do we kind of respond to them?
Yeah, well, when you think about it, there really aren't a whole lot of risks with an adoption process, just because it's kind of more based on building that trust in a relationship with a potential adopter. It kind of eliminates risks since we are empowering people like on how to care for an animal. And since, our adoption counseling process is more conversational approach and transparent, we're really kind of allowing people to comfortably ask us any questions or voice like any concerns they have about adoption or cats or cat behavior or so forth, which kind of eliminates risk since we'd be, addressing any and all concerns before the adoption.
Yeah, totally. I think the truth of the matter is, a lot of times on a paper application, people aren't going to be honest.
Yeah, they're going to just kind of tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, they know that you're looking for a specific answer, and they're going to give you that answer because they want the cat. Yeah, so like you're saying, it seems so much more efficient, really, to have a transparent conversation where they can give you their honest opinion and answers and experience, and you can have a conversation from there.
For sure. And of course, I know some people are concerned, if we have an open adoption process, maybe that means, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not good matches might happen, but honestly, that really can occur with or without an application. So that's not really, something to stress over.
Yeah. And we totally have a very welcoming environment, I think, because of this approach.
For sure.
Yeah. Any other like questions or risks that usually people mention?
I can't really think of any right now. I feel like that's really just mostly the risk that comes to mind. Again, is just really just if an open adoption process means just leading to not the best match, but again, it really just kind of just comes down to the circumstances, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think just like every cat is different in their personalities and their needs. The same, I think, is true of people. Like every home is going to have unique things that they can give to that cat. And so asking for one uniform thing from all adopters isn't really, it's not a one size fits all thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of not a one-size-fits-all approach, we wanted to talk about some of the cats that we were able to find amazing matches for. And let's start with Cleo, because
Yeah.
Cleo's a cutie. So I'm going to show you guys Cleo. She is beautiful. And Cleo was a young adult when she was here. We adopted her out in September of 2019. Oh, Cardamom is going to town over there. So Sonia, tell us about Cleo. What was special about her? I know she was with us for like 8 or 9 months. So what was special about her, and what was that process of adopting her out?
Yeah, she was a very special girl. She was very sweet. She was actually an older cat, I believe. She had like a little condo to herself upstairs because she needed carpeting just because she kind of had some mobility issues with her hind legs, so she was a little bit wobbly. She had trouble with her back legs because of suspected nerve damage. So obviously that did keep her here a little bit longer just because there weren't many people who were able to accommodate, what she needed, like having, carpet all around the home. But then eventually in September, this nice older woman had came in, and she was just the perfect home for Cleo. And her and that adopter just kind of fell in love. We've heard since then, and Cleopatra just loves, hanging out on her couch during the day and just snuggling with her humans. So it was just a perfect match.
Yeah, I think I heard too that Cleo's adopter is it stairs, right?
Yeah, she has like little pet stairs for her, and she likes to sit in like I guess like the window ledge too now.
Yeah. So Cleo uses her stairs. She has plenty of carpet to get all around. And yeah, that's a great example of like just finding the right household, the right person for Cleo, because we knew that person would come along.
Yeah.
Yeah. A second ago, it sounded like Cardamom was playing ping pong over there.
Yeah, she has a ping pong ball. She's hunting very, very intensely.
Cool. So that was Cleo, and then some other favorite stories. Brooklyn. This is Brooklyn when she was in her foster's home. She was a beautiful little kitty. And tell us about Brooklyn's story.
Yeah, Brooklyn was a cat that I was actually promoting for adoption out of foster. I was very happy to do her adoption. So she was a cat who had feline leukemia virus and was also polydactyl, so she had like little extra toes. I adopted her out to this very sweet couple in June. They were kind of just looking for a calm, cool, and collected cat. And then we were just kind of going back and forth through email, just kind of like talking about, their experience with cats and everything. And it turns out one of the girls actually had a cat with feline leukemia virus in the past. And what stuck with me was what one of them had said was that they would never like look past a cat just because the cat had feline leukemia virus.
Right.
So very, very touching to hear that. So they were very kind throughout the whole process. They eventually met her in the foster's home. Everything went super well. Brooklyn warmed up to them right away. So we did the adoption over the phone. They picked up Brooklyn, and now she's just kind of hanging out in their house. It's just a perfect fit.
Yeah, we have a picture of Brooklyn that her adopter sent in. This is Brooklyn just chilling at home, being a happy, healthy lady. She looks very, very comfortable. Yes, Cardamom agrees. I'm going to pause there for a second. Julie asked another question. Thanks so much, Julie, for being here. Sonia, how do we deal with the question of decline?
Yeah, so per our adoption contract, we don't condone declawing cats just because it is an inhumane practice, but we definitely would offer like offer like resources and things like information about like alternatives to declawing, whether that's just providing like scratching posts or things like that, or like nail caps, so we definitely we're not going to just turn someone away if they bring up that question of decline. We would rather educate about it instead.
Yeah. Someone might then ask, okay, so if we do educate them on here are alternatives, here's why we don't support declawing, and they still say, well, I'm really planning on declawing this cat. How do we approach that?
Yeah. So in that case, we would probably just tell them, okay, we can reach out to you when we get a cat transferred in that might be already declawed, because sometimes cats come in already like front declawed or declawed both with their front and hind legs. So that would be our alternative.
Yeah, definitely. For anyone who's watching who isn't very familiar with the practice of declawing and why we don't condone it, can you give just like a little bit of information on that?
Sorry, could you just repeat that one more time?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching are familiar with declawing and already have an opinion on it, but just in case there's anyone watching who doesn't know what declawing is or why we don't support it, can you talk about that?
Yeah, declawing. I don't know like all the medical terms, but essentially it is kind of like removing this like I guess like a joint in the cat's paws, and it is very painful. And more often than not, later on as they get older, it does cause them issues with the litter box as well. I've seen it many times since I do behavior counseling here at Treehouse. And in general, it really just is not a very humane thing to do to a cat. And again, there are just a lot of scratching alternatives out there.
Yeah, totally. And I think from like definitely from a sheltering perspective, something we have to think about, aside from, of course, the topic of is this a humane action, is if we adopt this cat out and you plan on declawing this cat, what are the chances that one day we're going to receive that cat again? Because now that cat has litter box issues, and now you can't have the cat in your home anymore. So it's like it's a question of is this humane, but also just like in terms of sheltering, it doesn't really make sense, you know?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Who else did we have in our repertoire of awesome kitties?
Plantain.
Plantain. She was so pretty. We adopted Plantain out in November of 2019. And I remember she was a shoulder kitty.
Yes, she was adorable. She just loved to get on your shoulders like a little parrot.
Yeah. So talk about her adoption process.
Yeah, I remember doing her adoption. It was for this really, really nice girl who had done all of her homework on cats and everything. We were doing the adoption counseling session, just kind of like talking about Plantain's needs. Plantain was very sweet, but also a super, super active cat. So we definitely went over like how she'll need tons of like regularly scheduled playtime every day, and she was definitely very understanding about that. And again, what stood out about her is that she was actually actively taking notes as I was going through all of this stuff. So that really showed, her dedication to all of this.
Yeah, totally. I remember Plantain being a shoulder kitty, but I don't remember her like high energy level. Did she just need like a lot of playtime?
For sure, yeah. She could get a little bit easily overstimulated, so she definitely needed playtime to kind of like keep that in check.
Yeah. Just a side note for people watching, what does that mean when we say the cat can get overstimulated? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so some cats are just a little bit more sensitive than others, whether it be to petting or just, they just have higher energy levels. So, like some cats, will tolerate petting for a short amount of time, but then maybe they just kind of get tired of it. They might either turn around and try to bite or they might try to swat at you. So, that's kind of their way of saying, okay, I've had enough. Let me cool off and, do my own thing.
Yeah, it's a good explanation. And have we heard from Plantain's adopter at all?
I think we might have gotten an update. I don't recall everything she said, but to my knowledge, everything is still going well, and she is probably keeping up with all of her playtime that Plantain needs.
Yeah, good. Let's talk about Olga.
Oh, Olga.
Olga has the prettiest eyes. And Olga was actually adopted by one of our amazing volunteers, Vanda. Vanda, if you happen to be watching, hi, how's it going? We miss you. We miss all of our volunteers. It's been a while since they've all been able to be on site. Talk to us about Olga.
Yeah, Olga was a really sweet cat. So she came to Treehouse from one of our community cat caretakers who found her. She just kind of like wandered into their colony, I believe. Olga was definitely a very misunderstood cat. I would say she was very shy, definitely needed a lot of TLC. And then Vanda is a socialization volunteer, so we would always see her spend like so much time with Olga, just sitting there on the floor, trying to get her to feel comfortable. And I think Vanda was really one of the few people who made this connection with Olga. Like a lot of the time, Olga would just kind of spend her time hiding, or she would just, run away. So we all kind of knew Vanda would probably eventually adopt Olga. It's a great fit. And Olga definitely needed someone who was very knowledgeable about cat behavior too, but also very patient.
Yeah. So Olga is a good example of like that fit needed to match up. Olga wouldn't be like a great fit for a really busy, loud household with little kids who want to be petting Olga all day. Like that wouldn't work out very well for the adopter or for Olga.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And then we have the names of these two are really just quite silly. I don't know who's who, but we have Stay Puft, like as in the marshmallows, and Slimer. I'm not, Sonia, where did Slimer come from?
Stay Puft and Slimer. I don't recall their origin stories. They might have just been admitted as strays. I just know they're sisters. I don't know who came up with the names, but I kind of like them. So
yeah, they're cool. We get so many cats that we have to get creative. Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us about Stay Puft and Slimer.
Yeah, they were adorable sisters. They were adopted out together at our location in Uptown, and then they were returned, I think like in the summer of last year through no fault of their own. It just wasn't really a good fit for the household anymore. And then in October of 2019, this one of our other caregiving volunteers decided to adopt both of them too. I processed this adoption. I still always remember it, just because of how prepared the adopter was. Like she was on the phone with her veterinarian because one of the cats, I believe it was Slimer, had like a urinary issue. So she was just on the phone with her vet, figuring out what meds and everything, all the care that Slimer was going to need, even before we did the adoption. So that just showed me like her commitment and everything. So I just already, it was like a perfect fit.
Yeah, I know one of the questions that we do ask people when they come in, when we're trying to figure out who would be a good fit is, like, are they something like their comfort level with like medical or behaviorally special cats, right?
Yeah, like are they open to cats with like special needs, like maybe cats who need, who are on medications or need injections or something like that.
Yeah. So like a cat like Stay Puft or Slimer, I can't remember which one, who has like a history of some urinary issues, probably wouldn't be the right fit for someone who isn't open to that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda, he slimed me. They're both from Ghostbusters. Apparently, we're just not cultured enough in our movies to know about these names. Did you know that, Sonia?
I knew Stay Puft was from Ghostbusters.
Slimer as well. Thank you for this great quote, Rhonda. Awesome. So those are some of the great stories that we have, and we have so many awesome stories of connections that we were able to make between our cats and people who want to adopt. And that, I think, is kind of what it comes down to for us in the gist of our adoption process, is that if you want to be able to open your home and care for a cat, you should be empowered to do that. Like, I think one of the things I've heard our shelter manager say is, just by taking that step to come in here to our shelter and start that process, like, you're already showing such initiative and like desire to give a loving home. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got a few more comments. Rhonda says she's older than us, and that's why she knows the Ghostbusters info. Shane says, "What is this?" Hi, Shane. Welcome. We're discussing open adoption here at our shelter, and how that compares to adoption processes that you typically see, why we value an open adoption process. We're also hanging out with Cardamom, who has gone silent over there, which worries me, Sonia. Oh, she's taking a little bath. Oh, this is a great little bath shot.
Oh, she's looking.
She knows she's on live video over here. Julie asked us, what happens when you have to say no to an adopter? I think that's a good question. We talk about we talk about being as open and inclusive as possible, but I'm sure there are situations where that has happened. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, it's pretty rare when we do have to actually say no to an adopter. If that happens, we usually try to like redirect that person maybe to another cat that might be a good fit. But of course, sometimes we just don't have the cat that would meet their lifestyle or what they're looking for at the shelter. In which case, we would just recommend, keeping in touch with us, looking at our website and everything, see if we have another cat, that becomes available that would be a good fit. And also, we would always try to redirect them to our cats that are available for adoption out of foster as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Julie. Alrighty, well, if anyone has any other questions, we will stay on for a little bit longer to get your input or answer any questions you might have, maybe about our current adoption process, since with COVID it's a little bit different. Actually, Sonia, why don't you touch on that? How are we handling adoptions right now?
Yeah, so definitely a little bit different. So before COVID, we kind of had just walk-in adoptions too. We only had people make appointments 3 days out of the week. But for right now, we are requiring all people who are interested in our on-site cats to make an appointment beforehand. So they could either call or email us. Especially if they see a particular cat in mind, we could just give them more information and then set up the appointment. And then, of course, we are keeping a smaller population of cats in the shelter, too. We're putting more of an emphasis on our cats that are available for adoption out of foster. So those are cats. On the website, they would be called the shelter skippers as well. So in that case, if someone sees a shelter skipper cat that they were interested in, they could call or email us about that, requesting more information. And then if it seems like the cat could be a potential good fit, we could link them with the foster parent of the cat. And then they would kind of correspond electronically and then either set up a virtual meet and greet or just a direct meet and greet in their home. Or we could even set up a meet and greet at the shelter. And then we would kind of just go from there with the adoption.
Yeah. When we were doing a live stream with, I think it was a litter of kittens a while ago, someone was watching and they had recently adopted from us, and they were saying that they had a really great experience with doing a virtual introduction. So at first it might sound kind of strange to meet a cat through a video chat, but yeah, our fosters are so great and so supportive in the adoption process. So they'll get on with people who are interested in adopting and talk about their experience with the cat in the home and answer any questions that the interested person has. And then from there, yeah, we can facilitate the actual adoption. Very cool. Awesome. So if we don't have any more questions, for anyone who is interested in adopting from us, first thing to do would be check out our website. Like Sonia said, that's where we list our adoptable cats. So our website is treehouseanimals.org. There are 2 adoption pages. One says adoptable animals. That's going to show you cats that are currently here in the shelter. The other says shelter skippers, and those are our foster cats because they are skipping the shelter. And then if you see anyone that you're interested in, feel free to reach out. This is our phone number and email address. That'll put you right in touch with our adoption team. Cardamom is exploring. And we have one other random comment in here, but I have to shout it out because they're correct. Working cat programs are awesome.
Yes, they are.
We totally agree. We do have a Cats at Work program here, and there is a video on our Facebook and YouTube channels with Paul, our Cats at Work coordinator, talking about that program and showing you our shelter facility for our own on-site colony. Check it out. Great. Well, thanks everyone so much for joining us today. We hope you learned a little something about Treehouse and adoptions in general. Sonia, thanks for being our expert today.
No problem.
Cardamom, shout out to you for playing ping pong in the background. Great. Everyone stay safe and tune in Next week on Tuesday the 11th at 2 in the afternoon, we'll be doing a live session with a few of our kittens, the Pokemon kittens in their foster home. And then next week, also on Thursday at 2 p.m., we will be doing a tour of our clinic. So don't forget, hit the reminder button. And Cardamom says yes. And thank you all so much. Have a great day.